What's going on, guys? It's Salvaje and I'm back at it again with another Widowmaker Vod review. We're going to focus on mistakes that you can make when you're a beginner Widowmaker and mistakes that you need to avoid, when you're a beginner Widowmaker. I know I said that I wasn't going to do any Vod reviews with Widowmaker. That term still stands. I just wanted to help out this dude. He's a beginner Widowmaker player and he's definitely struggling with Widowmaker. He told me on Reddit to be a straight up savage about dissecting his gameplay. And that's exactly what we're going to do, alright? I feel like there's a couple of mistakes that he made in this video that can definitely make him a better Widowmaker if he were to fix those mistakes. So let's definitely get right into it. He sees this Reaper, he's not able to land a shot on him. It's okay, he hit the Reaper's nose. The Reaper's nose is gonna need some surgery. The point is, he tried his best there to land his shot. He missed, no big deal. But right here, we see that the enemy team has an enemy Widowmaker. And, maybe we're not super confident in our aim, so maybe we want to sort of like step back and get better positioning. Alright, but we're not going to do that. We're going to continue fighting. Props to him for doing that. We get hit, we back away, we see this Reaper. The biggest mistake that a lot of beginner Widowmaker players make, target priority. They don't know who to prioritize. You need to adapt with Widowmaker to the circumstance that's right in front of you guys. We see this Reaper shooting our Mei. We need to shoot the Reaper, but instead we're going to go back into spawn. That was a pretty bad mistake. We know that the enemy team has an enemy Widowmaker, and for some reason our crosshair is somewhere around here when it should be somewhere around here to maybe take out targets that are over here, or of course somewhere around this payload where the McCree is. We try to take out the McCree, we fail, but of course the enemy Widowmaker takes us out. Look at this Moira, by the way. She's playing Moira like a DPS and she gets punished for it a lot of times throughout this video. I'm only going to point out too. We see this Reaper, he tries to, secure a kill. But, and we try to secure a kill on him, but of course we're not really able to, get the kill on him. It's no big deal. I'm not going to be judging his aim as much, guys, okay? Because he's a beginner Widowmaker player. He needs to focus, in my opinion. He needs to focus on fixing these core gameplay mistakes, and as he is fixing these core gameplay mistakes with Widowmaker, he can also, of course, work on his aim, okay? He can work on two things at the same time. We see this Symmetra, we take her out, okay? But let me point out another mistake that a lot of beginner Widowmaker players make. They spend too much time looking in at their scope. Over here, above these things, it's a huge glove, and that the enemy Widowmaker can get on top of that glove and get an easy elimination on us. So, we need to scope out from our scope and then scope back in, because we need to have an awareness of what's around us, and that's a mistake that he's going to make a lot throughout the gameplay. Here we have our Moira again trying to be a Genji, and of course she gets taken down. We see an enemy Widowmaker, alright, over here, and of course we're able to take her out. We take our time to aim at her head and then of course shoot her. This dude posted a clip on Reddit that he was missing shots against AI McCrees, and he was trying to flick a lot. Guys, when you're a beginner Widowmaker, just stop trying to flick, okay? Learn the basics of aiming with Widowmaker, learn the fundamentals of aiming with Widowmaker. Try to improve your tracking with Widowmaker as much as possible, and then start practicing your flicks, okay? Because to be a really good Widowmaker that flicks a lot and lands the actual flicks a lot, that takes a lot of practice, okay? But anyways, we see the Reaper, the Winston jumps on the Reaper. He just gets taken out. Right here we make another mistake, right? We get in the front line with Widowmaker when there's basically no teammates right in front of us. If the enemy Widowmaker would have been there, she would have probably taken us out, because again, we're also spending way too much time sort of like scoping in to this bottom ground when we need to be aware of what's going on over here in this high ground area. But the enemy Widow activates Infrasight, and we activate our Infrasight as well, and we're able to capitalize on this amazing opportunity. We take out the enemy Widow. We sort of struggle a little bit against this Reaper, so he takes us out, but hey, at least our team doesn't have to worry about the enemy Widow, right? Anyways, pretty decent play, but in my opinion, he could have improved that play even more by positioning himself somewhere around like this area over here, by the way. Basically, the catwalk that's over here, or the little window that's behind the catwalk. So that's basically how he could have improved that play. Or of course, he would have been able to grapple into that catwalk as well, okay? We're gonna get back into the gameplay. We see this Ana, this McCree out of position, and we're going to punish them. But here is another mistake that I want to point out, right? When you're first starting out Widowmaker, you got to build those aim habits. You need to build the aim habit of great crosshair placement. Why is our crosshair over here when it needs to be over here, right? If we see the McCree, he's going to be coming over here. He's not going to be anywhere around here. So again, place your crosshair where your opponent's going to be. And also, you know, right here, we're able to take out the McCree, but there's basically no teammates. That's honestly, you know, kind of like not his fault. But look, right here, this is a little bit of his fault. Our Winston jumps into combat, right? Our Winston jumps into combat. And what we need to do is grapple on over here. We need to give some support firing to that Winston, you know. We're in quick play, all right? I think we're not going against amazing, crazy opponents, right? So we need to go over here, be in a safe position and give support to our Winston, but we don't do that, all right? We just take way too long to actually position ourselves into this server room over here, okay? And by the time we get to the server room, well, like our Winston already gets the payload in, you know, our teammates are over there, but the point is, if we would have been over here on this high ground, we would have been able to participate even more, okay? Of course, you know, this is a pretty decent line of sight, but he just sort of loses like line of sight on the enemies, so he basically just, you know, moves on forward. And by the time he just moves on forward, by the time he's sort of you know, being a little bit aggressive, guess what? There's basically almost no targets for him to hit, so you know, he's not really able to do much. Honestly, I don't really think it's much of his fault. I think he made a really good play there by actually, you know, pushing up to the high ground to get a better line of sight. But like I said earlier in the video, he's spending way too much time looking at his scope, all right? And since he spends so much time looking at his scope, sometimes he uses game sense and awareness, right? We see this McCree heading over here. We throw a Venom Mine and we, you know, start aiming. Look at our crosshair. Our crosshair is over here and it needs to be over here, right? At like headshot range so that we can take out the McCree. Furthermore, all right, we need to have great positioning. When you're first starting out with Widowmaker, I would say a lot of things that hold beginner Widowmakers back is their positioning. Guys, be over here. If he was over here, he would have been able to be safe from the McCree and the Reaper that's actually behind him. So right here, the McCree comes in and he's not able to react. So that kind of sucks. But he's going to head back right now. And he's going to position himself in this little catwalk over here when he needs to be over here. Right? Because over here, we're just not really able to see any opponents. And in my Widowmaker positioning made easy, I specifically pointed out, you know, so like if you don't want to overcomplicate positioning, just think about this, right? Put yourself in a position where you're able to see your teammates and you're able to see the enemy team, okay? Anyways, like I said, you know, we don't have the greatest positioning, but of course we are, of course, able to take out Moira's wife, or of course that's Symmetra. That's a really funny name, man. All right, but look, right here we sort of panic a little bit, right? We see the Symmetra turret, but we're just going to ignore the Symmetra turret. You know, we're just gonna grapple on to this area, ignore the no, bad boy. Don't ignore the Symmetra turret. Our positioning is also a little bit weak. And most importantly, we're not really using our movement as much. All right, so right here, as you guys can see, he's basically anchored on over here. All right, and just has his line of sight over here. Again, a mistake that you need to be avoiding with Widowmaker. Crosshair placement. His crosshair needs to be somewhere around here so that he can land a headshot if someone walks through that door. Not a body shot, not a knee shot. I get it, you know. They used to be an adventurer like you until you shot them in the knee with Widowmaker. You're trying to make that meme come alive in your gameplay, but, you know, just go for the headshot. Okay, target priority. Another mistake that beginner Widowmakers make. It's okay though, you know. Look, guys, I'm not being a savage. He told me to dissect his gameplay and point out all of the mistakes he's making. That's what we're gonna do. We see this McCree. We know for a fact that we have a really great advantage on this McCree because he doesn't have a lot of mobility unless he uses the combat roll, of course. And chances are that McCree has an ultimate. But instead of, you know, aiming to where the McCree was at, we're going to aim at this D.Va. We're going to hit this D.Va even though we were at 91% ult charge and we didn't need to hit the D.Va at all whatsoever to get our ultimate. Our McCree takes out, of course, our Winston, and yeah, we're basically in a bit of trouble. And right here, you know, he's doing a pretty decent job at sort of trying to, you know, put his crosshair into his McCree. Look, I'm not being super judgmental when it comes down to his aim, guys, because he just needs to put in the time. All right, you know, that's one of the biggest things that I love about Widowmaker and that I can't stand about Widowmaker, you know, a lot of people want an easy answer to improve the aim of Widowmaker. You just need to put in the time, guys. All right. And you know, he hasn't put in a ton of time with Widow, or he needs to put in more time with Widow if he has put in a lot of time with Widowmaker. So look, this is also another mistake, right, that I wanted to point out. He's spending so much time looking into his scope that he has no awareness of what's going on around him. We know that our Moira is over here. So if our Moira were to die, we know that there's a bad guy that's coming in over here. On top of all that, earlier on in the gameplay, we see a Reaper, you know, also like teleporting. And I'm actually just going to wait for the Reaper to teleport. Just because... Alright, okay, the Reaper's coming in. Okay, so we see the Reaper that's teleporting. We even shoot the Reaper that's teleporting. We know for a fact that if the enemy Reaper were to teleport, he was going to be to our left side. But we spend so much time sort of like scoping in that we completely forget that our Moira, lol. Did I just call Ash Moira? We forget the fact that our Ash is on our left side, and our Ash gets taken out by the Reaper, and the Reaper comes after us and he gets us killed. And that's actually a kill. You know, a kill on that Reaper would have been the easiest thing if, of course, we would have known that that was the priority target that we needed to hit. But it's okay, right? Again, you know, we're learning. You know, we're trying to sort of see what are the areas that we can improve on. Let's get moving. So right here, he's at a pretty decent position, but he's also hiding a lot. Right, like he's not being as active with Widowmaker. He's not jumping as much. And another thing that I'm seeing a lot in his gameplay, he's not using the grappler as much, guys. You know, Widowmaker's grappler gives her a lot of mobility, and it gives her the ability to put yourself at a risky position, you know, take out a couple of targets and maybe just grapple on back to safety. And it's something that he's not capitalizing on that much. And we're going to see that, of course, later on throughout the gameplay. Our Ash, of course, gets the team kill winner, aka Bob, and of course he's able to position himself at a pretty decent position. You know, he can see the teammates, but of course he can't see the enemy, so he spends way too much time over here. Again, mistake that beginner Widowmaker players make: positioning. You need to be able to improve your positioning. And if your positioning is bad with Widowmaker, guys, it's okay. Just check out my Widowmaker map guide series where I cover every single map with Widowmaker and I show you guys the best positioning for her. We need to be over here in the catwalk that's all the way over here. He realizes this, and he you know, starts moving, and he gets on over here. But by the time he gets on over here, you know, our team is sort of like a little bit damaged. Also, as he was walking on towards this catwalk, you know, he's not jumping, you know, he's not being mobile. He's just walking kind of like in a straight line. So the enemy team doesn't have a Widowmaker anymore. But if they were to have an enemy Widowmaker, if I was on the enemy team and I would see a Widowmaker not really doing a lot of movement, just walking in a straight line, that would be an easy kill for me. All right, so, you know, target priority, we see that the D.Va got out of the mech. I would have honestly personally gone for the D.Va, like that they wouldn't have a tank. But right here, you know, we sort of like struggle here a little bit. You know, we don't really have any teammates to basically sort of like help us out. We're able to take out the McCree. You know, we were able to take... Look, did you guys see what he just did, by the way? He shot the Brigitte when she threw her whip shot. All right, and that's actually a really good thing to do with Widowmaker. I actually pointed that out on my Widowmaker tips video against support heroes. That's honestly the best thing you can do against Brigitte players, because it makes them very vulnerable. We see the Ashe. We know the Ashe counters us. We need to be focusing on the Ashe right now, and that's exactly what we're going to do. The Symmetra is of no danger to us. All right, so, you know, we start focusing on the Ashe, but, you know, now we're spending too much time on the Ashe, right? Like, we're aiming our scope way too much. And on top of all that, we have been aiming at our scope for a long amount of time. So, you know, from time to time, unscope, look around you. You know, maybe there's someone behind you. Maybe you need to find out what's going on, like, all the way down here with your teammates, right? Because this is the reason why I'm pointing this out, right? You guys are going to see right now throughout the gameplay that his team is basically in the spawn, right? And he's basically over here by himself. Now, if he would have unscoped and he would have seen that his teammates were backing away, he would have been able to position himself with the grappler over here on this position, and therefore he would have still been alive. And of course, with Widowmaker, you want to make sure that you're alive for as much as possible when it comes down to all of the team fights that you're in. And doing a VOD review on this guy's Widowmaker has actually like gotten me so hyped to play Widowmaker. I'm gonna play some Overwatch today. I'm gonna play some Widowmaker. Maybe bring you guys a couple of highlights with the brand new Overwatch League away skins, man. A Reaper takes out, you know, a couple of our teammates. And right here, we're sort of like struggling a little bit. You know, we're kind of like paralyzed on the front. We're not really doing a lot of mobility, but it's okay, right? Because there was a Bob over there. But now what we should be doing is going up to this high ground right here and maybe getting a couple of picks for our teammates. But instead, we're paralyzed over here. Look, beginner Widowmakers, if you have infra sights up, you know where the opponent's going to be. So if you know where the opponent is going to be, you need to position yourself in an area where you're going to have an advantage over those opponents. Alright, because right here, he basically just wasted infra sight, as you guys can see. And his teammates are now moving up. He needs to be moving up with them, right? He needs to be on the catwalk that's all the way over here, right? But he's not, right? And, you know, here we have a guy saying Widow Switch. Is that the Moira, by the way, that said Widow Switch? No, it's not. Because that Moira at the beginning was making some crazy-ass mistakes. Anyways, look. If you're a shitty Widowmaker and they tell you to switch and you're playing quick play and you want to improve with Widowmaker, don't switch. You're not responsible. You're not responsible about how other people react about how you're playing in Overwatch, okay? Like, if they want to rage at you, it's their fault. It's not yours. They chose to rage at you, okay? So keep practicing Widowmaker. Keep striving. Okay, right here, he positions himself on this position, guys, but it's kind of a bit too late, right? Like, he doesn't really have a lot of teammates. He should have been on this catwalk, like, a little bit sooner. As you guys can see, like, right here, where, you know, most of his teammates are up, he should have gone, you know, up there a little bit earlier. And, of course, you know, he does it. He was able to get this McCree, but, you know, the Reaper, of course, flanks, you know, kills our Zenyatta. You know, I also have to say, look, sometimes Widowmaker is as good as the team is, and sometimes when your teammates aren't really able to do that well, you're not really able to do that well with Widowmaker either. If they constantly keep dying, you're not really going to be able to do much either. Look, right here, our teammates are all the way over here, right? You know, we're spending a lot of time like hitting these targets, you know, trying to get a kill for our teammates. What we need to do is changing positions already, right? Honestly, I feel like this is the only thing that this guy struggles with, like the thing that he struggles with the most, right? I feel like he struggles a lot with positioning, and if he's able to fix his positioning and decision making just by a little bit, he can definitely, you know, improve at the game. All right, with Widowmaker, he has a level 3 endorsement. That's pretty amazing. I have a level 2 endorsement, guys. You know, I can't play as much Overwatch since I covered 3 games on the channel. All right, so here we have, you know, D.Va, you know, shooting our teammates. Look, right here, I would probably say his positioning is pretty decent. But again, man, like, he's just not moving as much. Like, use the grappler, go for a grapple shot. Like, I know he's a beginner Widowmaker, but specifically when you're a beginner Widowmaker, if you have a chance, go for a grapple shot. Like that, you can just start, you know, to sort of build the muscle memory to land, you know, more of those grapple shots. All right, so we see that our teammates are sort of pushing. We should be pushing with them. All right, like if we see our tank pushing, we're gonna push. We're gonna be right behind our tank. We're gonna be on top of this little catwalk over here. But of course, you know, they call in a bomb and it's basically game over for us. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for the VOD review. You know, don't spend a lot of time scoping in with Widowmaker. Make sure that you know how to, you know, prioritize the targets that you're going to go after. Make sure that your positioning is on point. Try to be in a position where you can see your teammates as well as, of course, the enemy opponents. Know when you need to be moving out. And if you have people coming towards you, start thinking about a position that you can go to that you're going to be safer. If you guys enjoyed this Widowmaker VOD review, as always, feel free to drop a like, subscribe to join the Salvaje Cartel. I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.